as you can see then, I think there's going to be some further discussion and further questions about these. And in fact, later in the evening here at this trustee meeting, a citizen by the name of Jeff Corcoran, who is an attorney, got up and raised some questions about these. But you know, there were 2 employees that were given contracts that seem to be that well, we don't want to interpret what the Mr. Malloy had said about that. We'll just wait and see what the interpretation, what the conclusions might end up being. But as we'll see here, during the public discussion portion of the trustee meeting, Mr. Corcoran got up and raised some questions about that and some other questions as well. And at this time, let's go ahead, Bobby, let's go ahead and watch that video.
Any other comments from the audience in the community forum? Yes, sir.
Mr. Malloy, are you okay? Chairman and trustees, I had a couple of questions specifically as it related to a couple of points raised by Bob. Is it your legal opinion then that a township does not have any legal authority to contract with its employees?
No, it has to be consistent with section 51110. In fact, it does also include the establishment of compensation in that section, which is one of the factors that would be under a contract.
I'm not sure I'm clear on what you're saying. The township does have the authority to contract with its employees as long as it's in compliance with terms and conditions as spelled out in the revised code?
Correct.
Okay. And have you had the chance to review the contract between Mr. Etheridge and Ms. Alley and the township?
I have not reviewed those specific contracts.
Okay.
I was asked to make a report on what is permitted and authorized by the Ohio Revised Code, and I've not looked at any specific terms or provisions.
Okay. I misunderstood. I thought you were saying there was no authority to contract with employees. We also have a contract with the fire chief, I believe, too. So I guess you would, no contract? Okay.
Not required for him.
I also wondered, you indicated that the position of code enforcement officer is incompatible with a zoning commissioner?
Correct. That's what's set forth in the Attorney General opinion that are referred to in my report.
Okay. And that if there is an incompatibility that's determined, that the code requires that he vacate the one, or the Attorney General?
The Attorney General opinion does not address that. There's other case law established by case, not by the Ohio Revised Code, but the courts of Ohio that have established that the acceptance of the second office, which is incompatible with the first, is the equivalent of a resignation from the first position.
Okay, and is that case law part of your report?
The case law is available, yes.
Okay. I mean, will you make that part of your report?
I certainly can.
That's all right with you, Mr. Chairman?
You're instructed to do so, sir.
I do that.
Mr. Houseman, at the last meeting, you made a motion, I guess, to do away with the nepotism portion of the manual of the township. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and I believe you explained that as being instigated by your desire to make jobs available to more Goshen people should they want them?
I just want, if a job becomes available, if, they should have an opportunity if so qualified. It shouldn't be a disqualifying factor just because a family member down the road happens to work for the township in another department or something.
Is there any particular person that...
Absolutely not.
So-
I make myself perfectly fit.
I understand. I understand. Did you, in considering that, how is it that you happen to decide and vote for a Hamilton County law firm?
Say again?
Wooden Lamping's from Hamilton County.
So?
Well, did you not consider lawyers in Goshen, lawyers in Claremont County? You're interested in jobs for Goshen people. I'm wondering why you didn't properly advertise for a law firm or look closer to home if you're that interested in having.
I wasn't on the board at that time. I was
At the
just,
time you hired.
I was not sworn in. I was, when the interviews were conducted, and the interviews were conducted, no one from Goshen came forward.
When was there an advertisement?
When there was an advertisement, I don't believe it had.
We did not advertise the position.
Okay.
I recommended Bob and Lloyd be considered. There was another law firm considered as well. Related to the nepotism, it's not a matter of who they're related to, it's a matter of the best person for the job, and not have that person who's the best person for the job not be available to the job because of their relatives. That was my position.
Okay. But we've got an out-of-county law firm. Mr. Hauserman said that he wanted to remove the nepotism clause so that he could make jobs available for Goshen people. And yet, he's failed on the very first thing that he did.
We hired the best person for the position, Jeff.
Who'd you interview?
What was the other guy's name?
George Patterson.
George
You
Patterson.
interviewed with him?
Yes.
When was that?
The date escapes me, but it was several weeks prior to the swearing in.
It's in December.
It was in December sometime.
That was it, just George Patterson?
Please?
George Patterson was the only other one?
Yes.
But you didn't advertise?
No?
How did you find out about George?
I known George for a long while, and George, the firm contacted myself, actually. He contacted me to see if there was going to be an opportunity, and at that time, we were just kicking it around.
Chairman, you understand that the prosecutor's office has an entire civil division, not just a criminal division?
I understand that, yes.
And they work for free for the township?
Yep,
And it's still your decision to hire a law firm?
absolutely. Yeah.
Mr. Malloy, you charge from the time you leave till the time you get home, or is there a flat fee for a meeting?
No, there's not a flat fee for a meeting, but I don't charge for the time I'm here in attendance. I don't charge for any travel time. I don't charge for mileage.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Anybody else have questions?
We see that Mr. Corcoran raised a couple of maybe valid questions. You know, he asked Bobby Hauserman why maybe they hired the Wooden Lamping who are from Hamilton County when we are really looking to hire attorneys from and employees from within the township. Well, you know, it's a pretty simple question, but it's also a pretty simple answer. And the answer is quite plainly, there are no, that I can think of, and maybe I'm wrong, there are no other firms working as attorneys within Goshen Township, number one. And number two, you know, as we looked at the experience and the qualifications of this Bob Malloy and the firm Wooden Lamping in particular, we see that they are very qualified and very experienced with this sort of representation of public and governmental agencies. And that's our program for today. As you might believe, I imagine we'll see more on this issue in future Township Trustee meetings. I will try and be there and record those for us. So that would conclude our program for this evening. Bobby, crank up the music, roll the credits, and get me out of here. I'm on my way.